Petra Black is a musician and artist who left the DJ world to create the kind of music that she felt was missing from her club playlists. Originally from Saragossa, Spain, and now residing in London, we're very happy to have her here in the Boo studio with us today. Welcome, Petra Black.
Thank you.
So, having been an international DJ and the creative force behind so many events, what made you want to shift to creating music?
I have been in the background for many, many years, organising events and DJing and kind of playing other people's music. And I also had a desire to experiment. Like, my idea was never to sort of create an album or create music as such. It was more like creative experimentation, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How did it sort of start for you with that journey?
I got an iPad as a present, like a iPad mini, and then I downloaded some apps there that basically there was so many different synthesizer apps, and I started experimenting with those, and that felt a lot more accessible because I never studied music or I kind of learned visually, so the kind of like usability of like iPads actually allowed me to experiment and create melodies, and then as I kind of learned a bit more, then I was able to make those into kind of more of a finished thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that seems like a really natural progression because you have this kind of rich background in visual art as well, and this holistic approach to creating events and things. So that kind of goes well with my next question, like how did you find your sound? And it sounds like just through experimentation over time.
I've always been quite obsessed with certain sounds. So when I first started experimenting with like my iPad, I was really trying to find like a very particular type of bass that felt like, I think at the time, like I had experience of depression, and I was trying to kind of find sounds that could somehow translate what I was feeling. I was always really, I still am quite like drawn to bass sounds. For some reason, like hi-hats like don't quite, I don't know, it's a sensorial thing, like sometimes they don't quite go with like the way I feel, and get quite like hyper focus on like particular sounds that
it sounds
kind of
like
resonate in a way, and I just because I don't have I don't know, like I'm not like super like hardcore technical, but I find that like some of the Korg synths, like I love the MS-20, has that kind of like bass sound, and like that kind of they're just
quite amazing with Korg how even down to their small things like the Volkers you get such a big sound.
Completely. I love the Volkers. To be honest, I'm a kind of like Korg fan. Like I've got quite a few, and then I have a really old Casio that was my mum's as well, and just like I don't know, I just kind of go for a sound and just really that kind of becomes like the pillar of the composition, and then I kind of build around that.
It feels really like painting to me, the way you're describing it, kind of the way you're feeling it out and just connecting with what resonates and building from there.
Yeah, and also like I didn't really know like how people really build songs. So for me, like I had like written poetry for years. I actually got some poetry published many, many years ago in Spain, and like I had never really done anything with it, and I found that actually that process really hard of marry some of the poems to the music. It's almost like they were speaking different languages, like they just didn't quite so that took a long time to kind of find, okay, this bassy cave, like these lyrics don't quite like how can they make friends?
And was the voice a key part in finding that mesh between the words?
It's almost like the veil between two worlds. I really like all the kind of paranormal stuff. So and like I wanted something that didn't sound male or female. I wanted something that was kind of, I don't know, it was more about the feeling it conveys. Like Black Square, for instance, is about depression, and depression is very, it's like quite a dark voice, and I wanted the vocals to reflect that. A lot of the compositions I make are about my experience of chronic illness and mental health and just life in general. And so I think like having like a broken voice and something that isn't clear makes sense to me, because I think life is far from clear, and but I think there's also beauty in that kind of brokenness in a way.
Definitely.
Let's make the world fresh and strange.
So what has your creative process been like for creating these songs, and how has it differed for you from creating worlds for events as a DJ?
When it came to DJ, like, I had to really think of like the audience. And then when it came to kind of the making music, I just kind of didn't want to think about other people.
Yeah.
So it was more like, okay, like I really like this sound. What can I do with it? How can this develop? And not really thinking about whether, who's it for? It's for me. Like it's an expression of me and my life, and you know.
It really comes across how personal it is, and yet you're still creating these worlds, but it's different. It's your world we're going into now.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good way of describing it. Yeah.
Cool. So you are selling some extremely limited edition hand-painted canvases
Yep.
that are constructivist inspired, and they go with the Black Square single.
Yep.
What is it about sort of constructivism and suprematism that really connected with that song for you?
I'm a trained art historian, and I was always really obsessed by like the kind of the work from like Russian artists like Casimir Malevich and others. Really, like just really kind of captivated me. Like I just found just the composition so simple yet so powerful. And I went to an exhibition in London about Malevich, and kind of I just remember like, oh my god, I need to do something with this. It's just so beautiful and so simple.
So we talked a bit about Black Square, but that's just one aspect. Like what about some of your other creative influences on this project?
So my next song or track or single is called Fatiga,
which was out last Friday, everybody. Go check it out. It's on Bandcamp now.
Go check it out. And Fatiga is about the limitations of living with a chronic illness, but also feeling like, sort of like fabulous, chronically ill but fabulous.
I love the video for it. I was going to mention this actually. I love how you have this kind of distorted, sort of damaged figure, and then this figure that's sort of bursting with life and power. And I was wondering if you could talk a bit about those.
Yeah, of course. So so fatigue is about chronic illness. Tengo fatiga, sono la fira. So I'm Spanish, and the word means tiredness, like exhaustion, but I wanted to play a bit with language in it. So one of the things that I found really strange is that the worst thing you can say to a person in English is cunt.
Yes.
And that is like female genitalia.
Yeah.
It's like, hang on, we're like insulting people, calling them a female part of the body. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
So in Spain, we don't really have something like that, but I found that in Italian, figa means, it's also like, it's the same thing as cunt, but it's actually like the bollocks, like is the bee's knees.
It's really positive.
Yeah, it's a really positive thing, and I thought, well, why does it have to be like a horrible thing? So
I love that.
The kind of concept is like, yes, I am broken, but I'm the bee's knee. So like,
that's brilliant. How did that video come together? And Black Square as well. Like you've explored so many sort of ideas visually, but I love the costuming and the design and how you look, as well as the way the videos are structured. Is that also sort of through experimentation and just trial and error, or do you have like clear visions for what exactly you want things to look like?
Usually I have a clear vision of how I want things to look like. So there's different artists that I really like. So I really like Maison Margiela, the designers. I really like Damselfrau for like their masks. And I just kind of try to experiment with them and kind of adapt them in different ways. For Black Square, like I really wanted to play with a kind of aspect ratio and try to keep it on a square, and the main suprematist colours are black, white and red. And then with Fatiga, so I wanted to like show like different women, but also like the colour scheme is pretty much, there's a lot of like pink and red because it's just about the blood and the skin and the kind of womb, and it's kind of like an ode to femininity in a way. And so I crocheted my own little vulva that I wore in the video.
That's great. Oh, that leads me to another question actually. So your songs are very personal, and you touch on these themes of like, you know, womanhood, your Spanish heritage, your physical and mental obstacles, like chronic fatigue and depression. But your visual identity and the treatment of your voice makes you anonymous. So what led to the decision to make you anonymous? Is it kind of just to make it more accessible for people?
It's almost like having an alter ego to my day-to-day life. I'm really supportive of drag, and I'm kind of more like, I see it as an opportunities to be creative.
Yeah, I like it. It moves things more into the realm of ideas as well, when it's less representational in the conventional way.
Yeah, and also I think there's something for me about making electronic music, spending a lot of time with like machines and computers, and make the visuals same thing, computers. So I kind of feel like I need an avenue that is more like material based, where I can actually get like messy and creative and get my glue gun out and try different things, and that feels really important. Yeah, and I think it's kind of creating a persona.
There's freedom in assuming different identities.
Yeah, completely. And I just think I can be so much more creative.
So with Black Square, you have this fantastic cover of the Utopia theme.
I'm a massive fan of like Cristobal Tapia de Vera, which is the composer, and he's also done like the soundtrack for Humans, the White Lotus. I just love his work. And whichever track that I'm putting out, there's also a cover of like a song I really like. And with Fatiga, the pairing, it's a Spanish track from McNamara, who was in a band with Pedro Almodóvar, the film director. Yeah, and he's like a total icon in the gay world in Spain. So they do match thematically. So Fatiga is about women. So Y Mi Marido, which is the cover, it is also about women.
So your new single and video for Fatiga came out on Friday last week. It's available to buy now on Bandcamp, or you can watch it on YouTube. So what's next for Petra Black?
So what's next? So I've got a few more compositions or tracks that will be coming out in every Bandcamp Friday. And there's lots of other things that I do that might come into the project. So like I also make soap. So one of the ideas was to create some merch that's like handmade soap that
brilliant.
You could with geometric shapes and stuff like that.
I love that. There's an artist I like called Ziemba, and she designed fragrances to sell with her
amazing.
albums.
Why not?
So you can go into the smell of the album.
Exactly. Why not make it like experiential? So there's lots of different things that I'm kind of like working on. But I do this because like I'm a creative person and like I love it. You know, when like in the darkest creative hour, when you feel really frustrated, and then like someone buys like, I don't know, a t-shirt or buys one of your tracks for more than the asked price. That's like, oh my God, I feel so moved. But it's like, wow, people value what I do. That sounds incredible. So
it is. It really is.
All over Bandcamp. So
fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. It's been a real pleasure having you in the studio.
Thank you so much.
Can't wait to see the next release.
Thank you.
Look her up, check her out, give her a comment. Petra Black, thank you again.
Thank you. Bye.